we're all people and we all want the same things in life. We want to be happy, we want to be safe, and my mission is to try and break down those divisions, whether it's politics, whether it's your nationality, your ethnicity, your religion, and just bring it back to the most important thing, which is just being a human, being a person. And the only way I can do that is through music.
Welcome to Zestful Aging, where I interview thoughtful, inspiring, and influential guests who are changing the way we think about what is possible in our lives. I'm your host, Nicole Christina, psychotherapist and fellow Zestful Ager. Our music is courtesy of Judy Baker, who was a previous guest on Zestful Aging, and her CD Buffalo Motel is available now. You can find out more about Judy on her website, judybaker.com. Well, Zestful Agers, get ready to feel blown away. My interview coming up is not a typical guest that I have. First of all, it's not a middle-aged woman. It is actually a young man who I met through his mom, who is Joe Blackwell, who I was a guest on her podcast, and she was a guest on mine. She told me what her son was doing, the 4-Bar Collective, going around the world and collaborating with musicians in all cultures, and I was fascinated by it. And I decided, you know what? This is my podcast, and if I want to have a 28-year-old man on it, I'm going to do it. So fasten your seatbelts, because this is absolutely spectacular. I know that everyone is feeling really stressed and anxious right now. We're all unsettled and feel out of control. So I created a free download for you for maintaining mental health based on my 30 years as a psychotherapist. Just go to zestfulaging.com and it is all yours. Well, as always, I've got my little loyal Jack Russell Sparky right by my side. So let's begin. We have a fantastic interview for you today. I'm really excited about it. We're going to be speaking with Dan Blackwell. He's a composer and filmmaker from the UK, and he travels the world making independent documentaries. He collaborates with musicians from other cultures to create original pieces of music for a project called 4-Bar Collective. Dan's mission is to bring people together through music and ultimately humanize the demonized and get the unheard a voice. Welcome to the program, Dan.
Thank you so much for having me, Nicole. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm so excited to speak with you. So, this mission seems particularly relevant right now, especially as the U.S. is so divisive politically and I think really feeling fractured and wounded. And I know in your country, Brexit is causing a lot of conflict among your own citizens. Can you talk a little bit about what the mission is and how you hope to bring unity to a really fractured world?
Yes, you're absolutely right. And I think it's more than just America and the UK as well. I think it's all over the world. We've seen a growing divide between the left wing and the right wing, and people have become more and more divided and into two separate camps. And what I see so much is that people dehumanize each other and put each other into boxes, and communication is breaking down, and we're forgetting what's really important is that we're all people and we all want the same things in life. We want to be happy, we want to be safe, and my mission is to try and break down those divisions, whether it's politics, whether it's your nationality, your ethnicity, your religion, and just bring it back to the most important thing, which is just being a human, being a person. And the only way I can do that is through music. So back in 2013, I would have been about 21. I was working as a session musician, as a guitarist and a producer. And I learnt lots doing that, and it was fantastic, and I got to tour a lot and meet loads of people. But I also found it was really backbiting, and there was a lot of negativity. So I decided to leave it all behind and create my own project, which was all about collaboration and fusing genres and different kinds of people, you know, because what I love about music is every musical genre has a different culture associated to it. You know, if you look back to the mods and the rockers to now with hip hop, gangster rap and stuff like that, and punk music, there's a different culture attached to it. So what I really like the idea of is fusing cultures together, and ergo fusing those cultures together. So it started out, the reason my project's called 4-Bar Collective is I would record 4 bars of music from each musician. So I would drive to a drummer's house, record a 4-bar beat with him, and then I'd go to a bassist's house and she would put a 4-bar bass line to that beat, and over the tour I would record about 20 musicians and then collate all those loops onto one track. So I could promote all the musicians through it, and we could create original fusion music and also explore how different cultures can come together, you know, in a symbolic way through the music.
That's so beautiful. Do you remember the day or the moment when you were a session musician and you said, "This is just not how I see my life's work, even though I'm doing music, I'm playing music, I got to do something different"? Do you remember that epiphany?
Yeah, there was an exact moment. There was a lot of, I was having issues with my manager, and the person I was playing session guitar for, I think he just got a gig with Lana Del Rey or something like that. And he was just like, okay, we're going to the next stage now, so let's drop Dan, let's cut Dan out, and leave him behind and get a new producer and just kind of throw me away sort of thing. And so I went to bed that night and I didn't sleep for a second. I just sat there all night concocting this whole plan in my head of what I was going to do, and I was making all these notes, and within a week I had my first tour planned, and I just went full steam ahead with that. I'm not just going to sit on my hands, I'm going to do something that propels me forward. And another thing about this project is it's something that's always taken me from a dark place in my life, and it's lifted me up, and it's like been a train that I can ride on to take me forward, that I've sort of created myself to bring me out of negative spaces into positivity. And a couple of years ago, I was in a very, very negative place. I was really depressed. You know, I had so much anxiety. I was struggling with alcoholism, and I just had a bit of a breakdown, really. And the project wasn't doing anything, and I found out about this orchestra in Afghanistan called Zora. And I didn't know that it was illegal for women to play music there, and that they could be under threat from the Taliban or from their families, domestic abuse, and all kinds of situations that it could bring about. And this orchestra was the first ever female orchestra in Afghanistan. And it was led by a woman called Nagin Kopalwak, who was the first ever female conductor. And I just thought their story was so incredible, listening to the snippets of interviews that were online, where they're telling about the adversity they'd faced, and they'd just pursued their passion for music and education in spite of all of it. So I was so inspired that night I wrote a piece of music called Sisters, a classical piece, and I scored it all out and I sent it to them as like an open letter. So, dear Zora, I'm a musician from the UK. I've found out about your story. I'm really inspired. I've written you this piece of music. Would you like to perform it? And I could come over to Kabul and record you performing it. And they got back to me. So I spoke to a friend of mine who was a filmmaker, and he said, you can't just go to Afghanistan and just record a piece of music. That's
and then
insane.
come home.
Yeah, and then come home. He was like, you have to interview them. You could make a film around this.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So I decided, because I had pretty much no experience in filming or anything like that. I had some experience in video editing, but I thought, you know, if I just plan it enough, and if I really put my mind to it, and just envision every camera angle and the way I'm going to do it, how I'm going to set it up on the tripod, I think I can put this together by myself. So I borrowed some cameras off my mum, actually, who's a professional photographer. much to her terror. Luckily, she went along with it. She was like, okay, sure. I was like, honestly, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So I've never shot a documentary in my life. I've never shot a short film in my life. So I decided to shoot my first ever documentary, feature length, in Afghanistan. So it kind of gives you an idea of what kind of mental place I was in. But it gave me this opportunity to do something that was so much bigger than myself, that was helping other people, and to interact with people who were going through serious hardship. And I thought that could, not only could I help them, but they could help me as well, and the whole project would help me, and bring me out of this slump that I was in. And
oh my goodness. I mean, you're talking about finding your purpose.
absolutely. Yeah.
What a difference. It's one thing to play your music. It's another thing to feel like this is my way of changing the world.
Yeah. I just, it was very interesting because sometimes you have to be at rock bottom
Yes.
to be able to be completely liberated, to feel like you could do anything, because I was in a position where I was so low that I just felt a complete freedom in order to just go and do that. And I did it all properly. I didn't just fly over there willy-nilly it's a very English term, willy-nilly.
I'm just laughing being a mother and thinking that your son would say, I have a great idea. I'm going to go to Afghanistan. I mean, how does one do that properly, by the way?
Well, I had a friend who I went to school with, who was a bit older than me, and she worked for Afghan Aid over there. So she'd been living in Kabul for a couple of years. So that was a light bulb above my head, and I thought, okay, I'll contact her. She'll know people, and she did. She knew a safe house. She knew a team that had armored vehicles, that had mercenaries. So I contacted them, and they gave me a quote. It was the funniest thing, really, because usually, how you see on a hostel or a hotel, it's just like, pillows, towels,
Yes,
all
yes.
this. So they had all that, and then it was like bulletproof vest, armored vehicle. What extras do you want on your list? It's fantastic.
It's an a la carte,
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So I'm sorry. I'm just trying to envision this. Had you been abroad before?
Yes,
Big
before that,
traveler,
I'd lived in New Zealand for a year. I'd lived in Australia for a year. I'd been to Southeast Asia. I'd been to Borneo. I'd been to America a few times as well. So I had plenty of experience of traveling on my own, and working these things out. So it was an accumulation of those experiences that made it possible, because if you look at the overall thing, it's a very daunting thing to go film this documentary in Afghanistan. But if you break it down into bite-sized pieces of, okay, get to the airport, get on a plane. I've done all that before, I know the number plates of the vehicle picking me up. So I had everything written out, everything planned. I had a schedule hour by hour of what I was going to do, where I was going to be in Afghanistan.
And this is something that, if you're telling me it's illegal for women to listen or play music, you had to be very careful.
I did, yes. I contacted the government before I went, because I thought that was a legal requirement, and they emailed me back and they said that it's no longer a legal requirement. It's simply a red zone. If you go over there and if you get kidnapped by the Taliban, we're not going to do anything to help you, basically. You're just on your own. It's a red zone. Go there at your own risk kind of thing.
What does a red zone mean exactly?
Somewhere not fit for travel, not safe for travel.
Gosh. And you, how did this get talked about in your family?
Well, I think a lot of it went on behind closed doors without me around, to be honest. So I can't really give you a full scope of what that was. I bet there was a lot of confusion and terror, and Dan's flown off the handle, especially because they knew that I'd had this mental breakdown as well, and they were all worried about me about that. And then I was like, I'm going to Afghanistan. I was like, oh, great, yeah, thanks, brilliant.
Oh my my goodness. So, were you able to stay in touch with your family and let them know you were safe?
I messaged them every day. Yeah, I
Oh,
had a
good.
Wi-Fi connection at the safe house. So when I got there, I did a little video showing my room and everything, just showing that I was safe, that I was okay. Showing I had everything on charge. I was on a mission while I was there. I was constantly switched on and focusing on the task at hand. I wasn't worrying about being kidnapped or any of that kind of thing because I was just too focused on doing what I was there to do. And I planned it all out properly, and it did all go. It did all go to plan.
Will you tell me a little bit about, so when you first met, was it Zora, the group? You made connections and you had a plan to meet them?
Yeah, so I'd been talking to them over Facebook, it seems crazy, doesn't it? Yeah, I was talking to them all on Messenger, and I still do. I still talk to them via email or Messenger now. I've built a very strong connection with them, especially a woman called Zarifa Adiba. She went viral just before I went over there with a video called Bad Girl, where somebody interviewed her while they were on a tour of Europe, and she said, a good girl is somebody who doesn't go to school. A good girl is somebody who listens to their father. A good girl never leaves the kitchen. And unfortunately, I'm a bad girl because I want to pursue music. I want to play my instrument, and I want to do all the things that I love. And I just thought she was absolutely incredible. She was 18 at the time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah, and she had received all these death threats. Her uncles had broken her arm to stop her playing viola. She had faced all these serious issues, and when I got there on the first day, she was guiding me because I got lost on the way to. There's like a music school that they do it at, which again has been come under a lot of attacks in a secret location and all this kind of stuff. And she was guiding me to the gates and everything. She was worried about me because she was like, being in Afghanistan is very dangerous. And then when I got there, she wasn't there, which was very confusing. So I did the whole shoot. I recorded the piece. I filmed the music video all in that first day. And then that evening I got back, I messaged her. I was like, where were you? You're like one of the key people in all of this. And she was like, I've got a lot going on right now. My mum wouldn't let me leave the house. I didn't feel safe. And I was like, if I can get a car to pick you up, or if there's a way we can get you to the school safely, would you be willing to do an interview with me and we can record your part separately? And I managed to get her in, and we had her interview went on for about 3 hours, I think. We talked about absolutely everything, and it was so nice. She said in it, she just said it's so nice talking to me because she felt like we'd just been friends forever, and she opened up about everything. She told me her entire life story, and it was so touching. And she clearly had all these struggles and all these issues, and she just needed somebody to support her. And I filmed her fleeing the country that day because she was under threat from her family. And I think she was being forced into an arranged marriage that she didn't want to be in. And so I had to film her saying goodbye to all her best friends, everybody that she knew, and her viola as well, which she had to leave behind at the school because it belonged to the school. And she was in pieces because she wasn't going to have her instrument, and she was like, there's no way I can get an instrument where I'm going. And I promised her that I was going to get her viola somehow. And luckily, a couple of months after I got back from Afghanistan, I did manage to, I just bought one eventually. I tried to do a fundraiser, but that all fell through, so I just bought one outright. I spent the last of my money on a viola and sent it over to where she was, and I was in communication with her aunts, and I got it to her. And
Oh my goodness, Dan, this is like a life changing for both of you.
it was, yeah. Yeah, so that I'm still in regular contact with her to make sure she's okay, and she's at university now in Central Asia, and she's doing really, really well. So that's great. But I would Skype with her all the time to check on her and talk her through things, help her with applying to universities and things like that, because she just had so much potential, and to see it get crushed would just be heartbreaking. Like, I couldn't just let that happen, but. As going back to what I was saying before, it gave me so much purpose you know. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
yeah, and from doing that Afghanistan project, I decided that I would do a whole series of them. That why just stop at one? Just focus the idea a little bit more. And now I want to do a whole series. I actually shot a second episode collaborating Palestinians and Israelis,
Mm-hmm.
which had a lot of challenges in itself. I came under attack very heavily from the far left from that, claiming that I was far right and that I was anti-Palestine because I was
Mm.
working with Israelis,
I
you
see.
know.
And these are from, and the attacks are coming from y- people on your Facebook or.
Facebook, Twitter, a lot of people a lot of like university professors would write me these sort of letters and stuff.
Mm.
Yeah, but I would reply to them and they would never reply back. I offered to meet all of the people criticizing me for it
Mm.
because they didn't know what I was doing. All they saw was that I was working with Israelis and
I
they were just like,
see.
right, he's anti-Palestine, he's this, he's that, this is it.
I
I was like, that's
see.
the opposite of what I'm doing. I want to show because the way I see it is we see very far left media and we see very far right media when it comes to that conflict. And I try to stay
Mm-hmm.
very apolitical with this project. It's all about humanity. It's a humanitarian project at heart.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, I read one article where it was saying about how Israeli soldiers shot dead all these Palestinians for no reason and all this. And then I read another article about the same event where it was saying about these Palestinians were all carrying signs saying death to all Jews and things like that.
Oh
And they were
my
going to climb the
gosh.
wall and start killing families and things. And somewhere in between those two stories is the truth.
Right.
But if you
Right.
focus, if you're surrounding yourself by one side of the media, you're going to
Mm-hmm.
demonize people and build up these ideas in your head. And I'm sure that there's been a lot of atrocities on both sides. I don't want to get into
Mm-hmm.
that, but
Right.
what I wanted to get into was actually talking to the people, the actual
Mm.
people, the Israeli people living there, the musicians, and the Palestinian people living in West Bank and places like that. And hear what they thought about it and did they work together, were there Israeli musicians and Palestinian musicians in the same band and things like that, and there were. And it was it was an incredible experience. But I want to go on from that, and I want to do many more. I've got all these different ideas for documentaries. I've got one. I want to collaborate North Korean defector musicians who fled the
Mm-hmm.
country to pursue music, because of course you have to perform a specific type of music there, and it's very militant. And I want to collaborate them with South Koreans.
Oh my
I have another
goodness.
one about punk music in Russia, about the bands that have been arrested over there for playing music and the situation over there, you know. So through music, I can shine a light on these different humanitarian societal situations and tell the story, you know. And there's one I want to do in America as well, in LA. There's an organization called Homeboy Industries, which is incredible. It's run by a guy called Father Gregory Boyle. I think I've got that right. And he takes ex-gang members and
Mm-hmm.
rehabilitates them. And he has this
Mm-hmm.
whole system where he helps them get employment. They do tattoo removals, all these kinds of things. And I was
I
watching
think I've
interviews
heard
with
of
them.
that. Yes.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. And what I want to do with that is I want to create a sort of essentially an anti-gangster rap song. I want to have a hip hop track where on every verse I've got somebody from a different gang background, whether
Oh
it's from the
my
Bloods or the
gosh.
Crips or from the Latino gangs, all these gangs that
Uh-huh.
are at war with each other. I would like to get ex-gang members essentially telling the same story through poetry,
Oh my
you
goodness.
know?
See, I think it's so interesting because your work requires you to go where there's the highest conflict and therefore, the most danger.
Yeah, essentially. Well, it makes good TV, doesn't it?
I suppose so. Oh my goodness. Let's take a minute to thank our sponsor, Copper Compression, for supporting the Zestful Aging podcast. Copper Compression was in the news recently when they donated their entire stock of 18,000 masks to New York and New Jersey hospitals. Thank you so much for that. We're happy to work with a brand that has its values in the right place. Copper Compression offers a full range of copper infused wellness products like braces, gloves, and leaves that provide targeted relief and the support you need through your active recovery. They have the highest copper content on the market, guaranteed. Copper infused fabric is really an amazing material. It has antimicrobial and anti-odor properties, and it helps increase blood flow. This unique combination of compression and copper gives you the strength to heal. Many of you know that I'm an avid tennis player, and over the years I've had to deal with the pain of plantar fasciitis. And for those of you who haven't experienced it, it literally feels like walking on little nails. It is very painful, but their plantar fasciitis foot supports have really helped me. They're also offering a generous 30% off on your first order just for Zestful Aging listeners. So go to coppercompression.com/Zestful Aging, or you can just use the promo code Zestful Aging at checkout for your discount. Again, a big thanks to Copper Compression for their support. So it sounds to me like your life has forever changed.
It's constantly changing. Yeah, and it's forever changed. Ever since learning about Zora, my life has completely changed, and my project completely changed. And it's had ups and downs, and I've just been pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. It's so hard. I had to do a fundraiser to go to Afghanistan. I raised nearly £2,000 to go over there. Obviously spending out my own pocket again as well. And I lost a lot of money doing the Israel one as well, because I had sponsorship for that, but they had to pull out because they were getting so many threats like I was. And, whereas I could kind of take the death threats and all that kind of thing, they were a bit like, right, okay, we're a charity. We can't really get tied into this political situation.
Oh,
Goodness.
There's some real irony there. That they're a charity, they're trying to do this good work, and yet they can't support your project because of people's reactions.
They were just coming under far too much scrutiny, and I do understand why they had to pull out. But recently, about a year ago, I signed a deal with a broadcasting agency. So they're a sales agency. So their job is they go to all the film festivals and they show my Afghanistan film at Cannes and all those big ones, and they try and broker a deal with broadcasters. So in an ideal world, I want to deal with, say, Netflix or Apple or Amazon or something like that to get a full series deal. But those negotiations have been going on for about a year now, and I've kind of been sat on my hands as I was instructed to, like, okay, you've done your bit now,
Let us go and sell it or bring it in front of the big companies.
Exactly. And with COVID now happening, with the coronavirus, obviously that's on hold as well. And I've just decided that I can't sit on my hands anymore and I need to be proactive again. So I'm looking into making a third documentary and just keep on grinding at it, keep on working at it. The next one I want to do is a refugee camp off the coast of Greece, because musically, I think it's very interesting to have a situation where you have people from all these different cultures thrown into one place where they all have to live together. If you've got people from Syria and people from different countries in Africa and Afghanistan and all these places, what happens if you collaborate those genres together? If you look back to the early days of America, where you had Irish people coming over and people from Africa coming over, and those genres fusing together and the blues being born.
That's right.
Could we create a new genre through that? Could these situations that are happening, could something positive come from it? This new kind of Delta kind of world music. And also just the stories need to be told from those places, because the camp that I want to go to, I think it's called Mora, it's built for about 3,000, and I think they're currently at about 20,000. But they have music projects over there. They are learning. They teach music. They have like lessons, and they have weekly gigs and things like that. So there are musicians there with instruments, and I'm thinking I might even bring instruments along if I can. And just make an original track with them and do something special there. So Yeah,
What
just
is
keep
it
on.
about music, Dan? I mean, talk to our audience. You know, most of us are not musicians. Most of us listen to music. And I know there's obviously research about the way it affects our brains, you know, that's been studied. But what is it for you that's so unifying about music?
Well, I think when I was younger, I was somebody who never fit in. I was that young kid with painted black nails and eyeliner and a big hoodie, and I didn't, I just couldn't conform, and I felt totally isolated. I thought I was the only one, and I would listen to music, I would listen to metal and things like that, and suddenly I wouldn't feel alone anymore because I would listen to Kurt Cobain or something and be like, oh my god, I'm the same, and and then there's a whole fan base around that band, and then you meet up and it brings people together. And I think deep down there's something. Music is art, and you can appreciate all kinds of art in different ways. But for me, I find music to be the most beautiful form of artistic expression because it really brings emotion out of you. Music can make you cry, music can make you angry, music can make you happy, it can make you dance, it can bring all these things out. And I deal with my emotions through music rather than getting angry and punching a wall or something like some people do. I listen to angry music rather than if something really sad has happened, I can listen to really sad music. I can listen to Hallelujah by Jeff Buckley, and it'll bring me to tears, and I can let it all out. It's cathartic. And so I think there's something about that with music that it just brings people together, and people may have political differences or all kinds of differences, but they can agree that this music is beautiful, and they
So
can
it's
connect
not
over that.
even, yeah, so it's not, I mean, I'm just trying to think about it in terms of our psyche and our brain, and it's pre-verbal, right? I mean, it's not about thinking and articulating. It goes deeper and beyond words.
It absolutely, yeah. Yeah, because even with instrumental music as well, the emotions it can bring out, and it's just, yeah, like when you see people playing music together, the way they're connecting and they're synchronizing with their minds, when you see people jamming together. So what I love to do is I love to bring people who may have conflicting backgrounds and have them jam music together and see that connection form between them is something really, really beautiful, I think.
You know, I correct me if I'm wrong, but I seem to remember reading research that when people collaborate musically, their heartbeats become synced. Do you know?
I've heard that as well. I believe that to be true. I need to do more research. I can't say with all certainty, but I
Right.
have heard that as well.
That something very elemental happens. It's not a thinking intellectual process like, maybe this Israeli isn't so bad. It's not that. It's not a higher thinking intellectual exercise.
Yeah, well, I think it puts you in a flow state. I've had little jams before. Like I did a drum circle once. I went to a sort of a kind of retreat weekend, and we had this like drum music therapy kind of session. And I'm not particularly a drummer or anything, but we all had to take turns doing solos and stuff like that. And I found that whenever I thought about what I was doing, it's like, okay, I'm going to do this little fill, I would go out of time and I'd mess it up. But if I just let myself fall into it and I just don't think, I suddenly started playing stuff that I didn't know I could do. I had no idea I could do rhythms like that and perform like that, and the energy just started coming out of me, and it just flows. And yeah, I think when you're playing music like that, you do go into that flow state. And I think with my project, it's something. It can break down these things that we say make us, whether you're Palestinian or Israeli. You're two people is what you are. You're people. You shouldn't be defined by these man-made constraints that we put on ourselves. We are all humans.
That is just so fascinating. Did you always know you were a musical person coming up, or is that something you discovered later on?
I think I always loved music from when I was like a toddler, sat on my granddad's knee, playing me Johnny Cash and stuff. I loved it, and I'm lucky to be in quite a big family. I've got two sisters and a brother, and my mum and my dad. They all listen to different things. So I'd get Led Zeppelin from my dad, and I'd get System of a Down from my brother, and Marilyn Manson from my sister, and Elvis from my mum. You know,
Elvis Costello or Elvis Presley?
Elvis Presley, yeah, the king, of course. Yeah, and I just ate it up, and
You were a natural.
yeah,
It sounds like it was also in your genes. And did you find that? Well, you said it was therapeutic when you discovered, as it sounds like you went a little goth when you.
Oh yeah. Nicole, I've been through every single phase you can imagine. I've been a hippie with no shoes. I've been a mod with the thin tie and the suit. I've been a punk with the safety pin through my ears. I've been the goth with the all black in the makeup.
I see. You've done it all.
I've done it all through eyes that just the the worst teenager you can possibly imagine, completely off the rails.
Just desperate to feel a sense of belonging, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and just this you're just constantly trying to find out who you are at that age, aren't you? You know, so I wanted to try all these different things, and what I found, I guess, looking back on it, what I found is I related so much to all these different kinds of music, you know, so I immersed myself in the different cultures that came along with the genres. So I would go out and do different things. You know, there was a period of time where I was going to loads of raves. I was into dance music, and I was getting into the rave culture and the fashion of that. Or there was a time I was into rock culture, and I was going to all the gigs and into the culture of that, or hip hop, you know. And so by going through all these different sort of genres and different fashions, I was experiencing different cultures. So I guess over time, that's how it all accumulated to come to the project that I do now. It all kind of comes full circle, really.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. And in terms of your mental health, does it feel like that has been resolved in some way, or that there's a healing in terms of you having such a clear purpose?
Definitely. But I think the most important thing actually is that I found that the healing of my mental health really came from coming away from that need for purpose, and that actually my validation can only come from within, and that I needed to stop looking for it from outside and thinking about what other people think of me. So, you know, I needed to go full into defining myself on what I did to come through the other end and then look at myself and go, okay, it's actually the opposite of that I need to do in order to heal. Is I need to just accept myself as me. And, you know, my little 2-year-old niece, when she looks at me, she doesn't go, oh, he makes documentaries, he's done this, he's done that. It's my Uncle Dan. I love him.
Yes.
Yeah? He makes me feel this way. He makes me feel happy.
Yeah. It's your essence,
he
not
makes me
your
feel
resume.
loved.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think looking at it like that, I think that's really the way to heal with mental health. But I don't think it's something, depending on what your mental health issues are, it's a lot of the time it's something that won't necessarily go away. It's just something you can constantly work on and learn more tools and be able to deal with it better. Like, a lot of people complain about getting older, but I love getting older. Every year that goes by, I'm less paranoid, I'm less anxious, I'm less self-conscious, I'm more sure of myself, I'm more confident. I can't wait to be 30. And after that, I'll be being 40, then 50. You know, how sure of myself and how happy within myself will I be when I'm 60, you know? That's really exciting to me. And I think that's a good frame to be in, because when I look back on every year of my life, it's just, I wouldn't want to be in that state of mind again. Wouldn't want to be that anxious teenager again, you know?
Yes,
people always dreaming about being teenagers. No, it was awful.
So painful. So painful. So I think that a lot of our listeners, and as I've said, you know, people all over the world, we're in so many countries now would really want to learn more about this and also support you, Dan. And so, what I'd like to know is how to get in touch with you and how to help you do this work that is the healing that we need right now desperately.
Well, at this point, the main hub, the best way to get in contact with me, and the way to see clips from my documentaries and other small projects that I do in 4 Bar Collective is to go to the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/4Bar Collective.
Four as in number?
Number 4, numeric
Okay.
4, BAR Collective.
Okay. Okay. And then they can see your projects, what's going on. And if they wanted to participate, would they do that also by sending you like a Facebook message?
By sending me a message over there, that would be absolutely perfect. And everything's up in the air right now with the coronavirus and everything, so I don't know when the next documentary will be filmed. You know, it could be a few months, it could be a year at this rate. We really don't know when everything will open up again. But the best way I think people can help me right now is if you're a writer, if you work for a newspaper, then get in touch with me if you want to write an article about it. What I need is exposure. I need more followers of the page and more people to just get involved and get in touch and just get it bigger and bigger and bigger, so that when if the broadcasting deal doesn't come off and I do decide, right, we're going to self-fund it and I'm going to do fundraisers, then I have the audience there that's ready to back the project and really get into it. So the best thing is if you have any ideas, or if you want to get involved, if you want to collaborate with me, go over to the Facebook page at facebook.com/4Bar Collective, send me a message there, and I'll message back very quickly.
That sounds wonderful. I really encourage people to do this. And I think particularly in these times with COVID, we're seeing that what happens in the U.S. is, there's such a ripple effect that we're part of one global community, and that we have to do better in making it more peaceful and collaborative.
Absolutely. I think that as much of a tragedy the coronavirus has been, there have been positives as well. The sense of community, when I walk around my neighborhood, everybody's saying hello to me now.
Yes,
everybody wants to chat.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's so different. People are waving. People I've seen walking their dog for years that we've never waved because we don't know each other.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I really hope is that it stays, is that we don't just go back to how it was before, and that we keep this sense of community and this sense of oneness that's so beautiful, and the way we need to go as humanity, the division and everything, the way it's been going, it needs to stop.
Yes.
But maybe it's been getting worse and worse, and maybe it's just lancing a boil. With Brexit, it revealed a lot. Because I'm sure lots of people had good reasons for voting for leave for Brexit. Personally, I voted Remain for my reasons. But what was interesting about it was that it empowered the minority of racists to all come out of the woodwork, because they believed that the majority had the same ideas, and it was like, oh, get all the foreigners out. And it's like, no, that's not actually what this is about. I mean, a lot of groups are painting it that way, but all of these minorities come out in droves, and the village down the road from me, I saw a car with a swastika on it, and we've had rallies going on. It's happening all over, and it's happening all over Europe. And in America with Trump and stuff. I mean, in many ways, I think it could be a good thing, because it's exactly the same situation. I don't think that every Donald Trump supporter is A, B, or C, or a racist, this, that, or the other. But all the racists and all the, the prejudiced people out there, they're definitely behind him, and they definitely feel empowered to come out and have their voices heard.
Yes, sir. That is for sure. That it really shines a very harsh light.
It really does. But if there's a problem, you can't solve that problem until it's been revealed. You know, you reveal it and you heal it, right? And now
Mm-hmm.
it's been revealed in the
Mm-hmm.
UK, in America, all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's been revealed, the issue that we have, and so now I think we can actually start to
Start to heal.
heal from that and rebuild and make a better world from it.
Yeah. Oh, that's that. I love that. Dan, I am so I'm just so touched by your work, and I'm so grateful that we had a chance to connect and talk. And I just wish you all the best of luck. I think this project is beautiful, and I certainly will do whatever I can to help you be successful.
Thank you so much, Nicole. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I hope you enjoyed that interview as much as I enjoyed having the conversation with Dan. Might have been that I had too much coffee, but I feel really just moved, touched, and just really blown away by how he has helped his own mental health without really meaning to, but finding purpose in the world, really helping with healing and collaboration. It was so inspiring to me, and I think is exactly the kind of thing we all need to feel right now, is a sense of coming together and a sense of healing. So I'm so appreciative that Dan was willing to speak with me today, and I just want to put out an extra shout out. If whatever you can do, if it's monetary, if it's just sending him a text to support him, reach him again on Facebook for that's as the numeral 4 Bar Collective. Let him know that you heard the interview and that you're supporting him. I think it can be a lonely process, especially now in COVID. So I ask you to go ahead and let him know that you're rooting for him. Thanks again for listening. Thank you so much for joining us on Zestful Aging. If you like the podcast, please share it with some of your friends. I love to hear from my listeners. Send me an email at NicoleChristina.com. Hello, Zesties. I want to tell you about one of my all time favorite exercise and stress reduction tools, which I am really relying on during this quarantine. But I've sung its praises for years. The benefits are seemingly endless. It's great for toning and strengthening muscles, it improves your lymph system, your metabolism, it helps with joint pain and balance, and it's even used by NASA astronauts because it's such an efficient way to exercise. And if you're older or you're worried about your balance, you can order a stabilizer bar to hang on to. I'm talking about my Needak Rebounder mini trampoline. I put on my music and I have my own dance party. Because for me, exercise needs to be fun and invigorating. Otherwise, I don't want to do it. Now is not the time for the philosophy of no pain, no gain, because we're in enough pain. This is a way to feel good and energized and have fun. It really does help mood as well. And I like that Needak is made in the USA and it is really solid. I've had mine for 15 years and it's still in great shape. The Needak Rebounder will help us get through this quarantine in better shape mentally and physically. And there's also a model that folds up if space is an issue. One of my clients puts it on her driveway and uses it while she's watching her kids during the quarantine. Anyway, I can't recommend Needak Rebounders enough. They are a worthwhile investment in your health and overall well being, especially now. If you are interested in a mini trampoline, please don't buy a cheap one. Those can be actually dangerous, and it is really worth investing in a good quality one. And right now, if you use the coupon code just for Zestful Aging listeners, the code is Zestful. They are going to include a free cover for you. So go to needak.com. It's NEEDAK.com. And if you have any questions, you can contact me at zestfulaging.com. I really am their biggest fan. It's no secret that everyone's feeling pretty restless and unsettled right now. Our lives are upside down, and the future is feeling pretty uncertain. But if you're anything like me, organizing my stuff can help me feel a little calmer. It's something I can do to help me feel a little more in control and in charge of my own life. If you think decluttering could help you feel better and you could use a little assistance with that, check out the online course I've developed with professional organizer and designer Carrie Luderin. It's called Too Much Stuff. And Too Much Stuff is different from other courses or articles or guidance you may have used up. We give you clear steps to deal with the clutter and the tools to help you face the overwhelming feelings and the emotions that come up when we're going through our clutter. And a lot of those emotions are just feeling anxious or guilty or just basically flooded with a lot of different confusing feelings. The course is really practical, it's realistic, the lessons are short and punchy, and they're really manageable. We're not trying to set you up for some long exploratory, super in-depth, burdensome experience. We want something really helpful for you right now. We all need help with our anxiety, so being surrounded by more calm and less chaos can really help. So now's a good time to clear out the clutter so we can focus on what's really important in our lives. So find out more at zestfulaging.com. You'll see more about this under the web courses tab. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email at zestfulaging@gmail.com. Thanks so much. And stay tuned next week for another interview with a fascinating and inspiring guest.